I think it's safe to say that most people would say edibles are pretty strong. Most people that don't smoke would say that their worst experience, usually with the plant, is through edible form. If we're being honest, a lot of the bigger creators on YouTube have even made content around taking edibles, even though they're not like a YouTube channel or anything at all. That kind of content has blown up a lot, just essentially watching famous people be destroyed on edibles. People do it on podcasts. I myself have obviously partaken in that because I've done multiple videos doing high milligram challenges. And today I am going to explain to you guys why they feel so strong. And then even for those people that don't feel them at all, they can take thousands of milligrams and not really feel it at all. I'm also going to tell you guys why you don't feel it. If we're talking about edibles that are pretty strong, we should be talking about the sponsor as well. It is Binoid. They do keep dank light as well as their wide, vast variety range of edibles. Like Binoid has a crazy amount with the craziest variations. It's seriously amazing. They take the entourage effect to the next level, and a lot of their just base level edibles as well are super good. They also have a flower company, Blooms. We are going to be smoking some flower today though, just because I didn't really want to sit down and do an edible video. I kind of wanted to just talk about this and then smoke. I did fuck up the video and I was smoking this a little bit, so that is why it's a little burnt. I'm sorry. But anyway, cheers. So I've talked about this a lot, pretty much every edible video that I've ever done, but I've never really sat down and gave an in-depth explanation as to why it exactly happens. You guys have probably heard this before because they also tried to make it like a cannabinoid variant, and that really didn't make much sense to me, but it is called 11-hydroxy-THC. Now this is just the way that your body enzymes, your fat enzymes in your body, something that I'm pretty sure you can't control at all, how it does break down the THC molecules in your body. And now for some people, this can just be like, you eat 20 milligrams and it's 20 milligrams. For some people, it can be 2 times as much. Some people, it can be 3 times as much. I've read some articles where some people believe it can go up to as much as 6 times. Now, that's really crazy. Eating something like 10 milligrams, if you have really crazy enzymes that break it down, I guess in a more heavy way, and it's up to 6 times more heavy or 6 times more effective or just 6 times more potent essentially, then you're eating 60 milligrams, and that's just off of 10 milligram, one little gummy. And now, I know that sounds crazy because it really is. Obviously, the human body is weird. And the way that smoking and edibles affect us are 2 different things, and it is through 2 different ways. So that's why a lot of people say that, usually taking edibles can feel more psychedelic. And obviously, like I said, there are those people that say that they can't feel it at all, that they've eaten like hundreds and hundreds of milligrams, they can't feel it. There are people that also have to take higher doses just to feel it at all. And yeah, that definitely fucking sucks. It's just the way your body breaks down the enzymes, so you might be able to smoke and like get fucking blasted off half a joint, but you might, eat 200 milligrams and feel nothing. That really does suck, I'm not gonna lie. Because like when I was younger, dude, I had met people that literally, this is before I knew about any of this shit, and they would tell me like, yeah bro, I've literally eaten hundreds of milligrams, I don't feel nothing. And I'm like, bro, you're fucking lying, like you just want more or whatever, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until I started doing research that I found that this is very accurate. And for somebody like me, I generally am in that like 2 to 3 times range, I've noticed, because I've taken many heavy doses. I've taken 1,000 milligrams and I genuinely felt like I was on 3,000. I took 2,000 and I felt like I was on like fucking 5,000. I felt like out of body level weird, dude. It was a lot, I'm not gonna lie. And doing even like smaller doses sometimes can fuck me up on certain days. Like I've even noticed it kind of like with how much I've eaten. I've even noticed sometimes my emotional, like how I'm feeling emotionally that day or physically can even kind of like affect that. If I'm feeling shitty and then if I'm hungover and I take like some gummies, I almost feel kind of more worse. I'm like, oh bro, like I just feel lazy or blah. But if I'm happy that day, then maybe I want to go outside. Maybe I feel more inclined to be, more active or whatever. I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, a lot of this you do have to think about. Same reason that you could literally be in a situation that you don't feel is very comfortable, and when you're fucking baked on edibles, like bro, it feels like 10 times more intense. So I'm just speaking more generally a lot too for the people that might, be clicking on this because they're like, bro, like I ate 10 milligrams and I was fucking freaking out. Like, I don't understand why. How do I control this? How do I get this under wraps? You know, obviously, I always tell people, like, bro, if you're starting, like, definitely go slow. Start with, like, 5. You know, I listen to a lot of these podcasts and a lot of these people, bro, and they're like, oh, yeah, man, I eat, like, 5-10 milligrams and I'm, like, zooted. So I always tell people to stay in that range. You know, don't watch somebody like me or, like, a lot of the other content creators who go ham, and don't listen to the comments too, because a lot of people in the comments will be like, oh bro, I go fucking ham, it's fine for me. Obviously go at your own pace, but if it is pretty intense, which a lot of people end up saying that in terms of between smoking and edibles, they always say edibles are way more intense. And I think just in terms of that, you know, you got to be careful for real. The amount of people that I've met on the internet in real life that have said that they freaked out from edibles is a lot more than smoking. Like, yeah, you might get, like, the most people I end up feel like, from just what I think, from what I'm just thinking, from my general knowledge of what people have told me and just putting that together, is that it generally seems like people get more paranoid from smoking only because of certain reasons of, like, the smell, maybe having to go around people, cops, things like that. That's generally when people get paranoid. But I feel like people start to freak out when they take edibles. And when I say freak out, I mean, like, it's not even necessarily, like, it's different levels of freak out. It's like crazy anxiety. They genuinely start feeling, like, paranoid, in which I feel like a lot of people end up thinking they're, like, look super baked and they look really fucked up. And I know a lot of people think that's weird to be around people feeling like that. Some people feel like it lasts forever. Some people feel like it's super intense. I myself have had this happen a couple times to me as well. It does indeed happen, and it can be pretty negative when it does happen, and pretty hindering to you wanting to try again, and, you know, peer pressure, people pushing you constantly to maybe up more dosage, or, like, you fuck up because you won. I mean, how fucking cliche story is this? How many times have you heard this? You ate like a 10 milligram, a 5 milligram. You waited like not even an hour. You thought it was an hour because you're anticipating something. You're anticipating a head change, a body change. So, you know, obviously you're waiting for it. And then it's obviously probably only been like 35, 40 minutes, but you already lost track of time because you're just so, you know, excited, usually waiting for this, that you end up eating it. Or sometimes it might kick in a little later and then you eat another one and then now you're fucked. And how many times does that happen, bro? Like, it's so cliche for a reason. So definitely just be safe out there. But generally the only reason that this does happen is because of how your body breaks it down. There's no way to test it, but besides trying eating them yourself, which, whatever, right? But this is something that I think that people should be aware of, if it's not already. This has been pretty basic knowledge, or I don't want to say basic knowledge, like, it just makes me sound ignorant, but, like, this has been pretty, you know, out there knowledge in terms of if you're, like, kind of into the hemp space and the weed space and all that, but, like, it's pretty interesting, man. And I've always thought it was pretty cool. And, you know, sometimes, you know, I take them and it doesn't feel as strong. And then some days, like I said, I take it and it feels like 3 to 4 times as strong. And it all depends on the dose, the gummies, things like that. I've eaten quite a bit of bionoids, and even on the lower dosage, because most of them are pretty high milligram per gummy. So most of them I generally just get pretty fucking wrecked. But be safe out there when experimenting. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you have any positive, good idea, feedback to leave in the comments to help other people, maybe, like, I don't know, help them understand maybe a little bit more, maybe more science terms, or anything else you guys know that maybe I just didn't add, definitely let me know. If you guys enjoyed these Adult Swim style and bump, you can send your own to chillydillyendbumps at gmail. Appreciate you guys. Shout out to Binoid, and shout out to you guys, man. Fucking love you.